Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and connoisseurs of the written word. Welcome back. Today, we'll be talking about an environmental parameter, specifically temperature, and more specifically, low temperature, really low temperature. Let's write out the word for it first. Oh, I really botched it there. Okay. Well, in cold, your hand does shake, does it? Does it not? Okay. ALGID. There you have it. Hand shook there, but then it does in the cold. Although I'm not cold now. Okay, ALGID. So let us go back. Temperature. Now we like cool weather, but we don't like cold weather. And back in the 90s, when I was staying in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the winter temperatures there were really horrible. I mean, we are talking minus 10, minus 12 degrees centigrade. I'm not going to use Fahrenheit. The scientific scale is the centigrade scale, so I'll stick to the centigrade scale. I know Americans are used to the Fahrenheit scale, but um, I suggest you familiarize yourself with the centigrade scale because the rest of Europe and indeed the rest of the world uses the centigrade scale. Okay, minus 10, minus 12. I mean, this was awful. I mean, I would walk home at 2 o'clock at night from the library, by which time the temperature was literally plummeting into these sub-zero temperatures. And even though I was well dressed, as expected, you better be well dressed at those temperatures. Even though I was well dressed, I would freeze up. I mean, it was just a 10-minute walk to my apartment. And in spite of that, in spite of my scurrying, and in spite of me being just 24 years old at the prime of my vigor, I barely made it. There were times when it was so cold that by the time I reached my apartment, I could barely speak. My jaw muscles had basically frozen up. I had to stutter and stammer for a while before I managed to get the words out. Anyway, so this was really cold weather. I mean, cold weather. I don't know of any other place in the United States where it gets this cold, unless it be North Dakota or, of course, Alaska. Apart from these two states, Minnesota literally has the coldest temperatures, at least back then in the 1990s. I don't know if it's true now. With global warming, it may have warmed up, but it was bad then. I mean, we are talking super cold. Okay, cold, so cold that it literally cut into your consciousness, crushed your consciousness. Your whole mind just became a blank sheet of pain and agony. So, given the dramatic aspect of cold, uh, and given how commonly the word cold is used, we should ask ourselves, is there any other word that better captures such extreme cold? Remember, we're not talking about cool here, we're talking about cold. I mean, in spring and autumn, you have cool weather, you have cool temperatures. That's nothing. That's above zero. We're talking ultra cold, sub zero cold. So, is there a synonym for such ultra cold temperatures? And there is. It is our lovely word for today, and that is ALGID. 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 Okay, that's an adjective. That's not a noun. Okay, so you have to use it in coupled to another word. You can't use it by itself. There is a word by that stands by itself, and I'll get to that in a minute. But this is an adjective. Okay, so now how do we use this word? Okay, we can use it both in the literal sense and also in the metaphorical sense. We've all met people who are extremely cold to us, and this word is excellent for describing them. We'll get to that, but let's get to the environmental part. Okay, so sentence number one. Let's talk about Antarctica. Algid Antarctica. Okay, Algid Antarctica was an arena of annihilation for 18th century explorers. Very few of them returned to describe its boreal beauty. Okay, I used another fancy word there, boreal. I'll explain that in another YouTube video. It's a lovely word, but for now, I'll repeat the word again. Algid Antarctica was an arena of annihilation. Very few people in the 18th century, very few explorers in the 18th centuries returned from the interior of Antarctica, of Algid Antarctica, to describe and write down its great boreal beauty. Great boreal blanched beauty. Okay, so that is a direct reference to the extreme cold of Antarctica. Okay, you could use that for the Arctic, of course, and of course for Alaska too. All right, so now is there a way we can use this in a metaphorical sense? Yes. We've all met people who are really reserved, I mean, so reserved that they seem to be frozen almost. They freeze you out. They don't just tune you out, they freeze you out. Okay, they have a very frigorific exterior. Okay, that's another word for cold, frigorific. Anyway, so you could, when describing someone like that, you could say he was a man of algid abstract awareness who always maintained a detached distance from other people. Okay, so we are using the word algid in a metaphorical sense to describe someone who's extremely cold, who's emotionless, and who's well, even hostile to others. Okay, so if his name is Andy, you could say Algid Andy. Algid Andy doesn't like to have people around him. Algid Andy likes to keep to himself. All right, so metaphor there. Now coming back to the environmental part, I don't want you to think Algid is something negative about it. I don't want you to get that impression. It's a lovely word, so let's use it in a more positive sense. I said earlier, extreme cold exhausts you, it enervates you. But a brief exposure to extreme cold, exhilarates you, and it, in a way, revivifies you. It resuscitates you. It refreshes you, provided it was only a brief spell that you were outside. So let's use it in that sense, in a more positive sense. Okay, so sentence number 3. The moment he stepped out of the warm, cozy house, he was met with a blast of algid air that left him breathless. But after walking for a few minutes, he felt refreshed as his body went into hyperdrive, running on all cylinders to keep his body temperature at 37 degrees centigrade. So yes, now we are saying that algid air, algid atmospheres, algid atmospheric air refreshes you. And it does. Just it's like taking a cold shower. You hate it in the beginning. It's too cold. You gasp for breath. But after a few minutes, after you come out of the shower and you towel off, you feel really refreshed, energetic. Something you don't when you take a hot shower. Hot shower makes you all cozy and warm and relaxed. But that's not what we want to be in the morning. In the morning, we want to be energetic, whereas in the evening, we want to be relaxed. Okay? So there you have it. Three uses of the word algid, two environmental, one metaphoric, and one positive, and one negative. Okay? So um, coming to the noun, I said the word algid is an adjective, right? So let us write this out as a noun. What is a noun for algid? The noun for algid is, let's write it out. I don't think there's enough space here, but I'll try or maybe I could go and do it there. Yeah, I have more space there, right? Okay, there we go. And the noun is L G D I T. Sorry. Okay, need some ink there. LGDT. Okay, let's move the book a little bit so that you can see it better. Yeah, LGDT. Okay, algid adjective, algidity noun. Now, how do we use this? Well, let's go back to Antarctica. We can use it in one simple sentence. The algidity of Antarctica was so extreme that its exploration had to await the technological advances of the late 19th century before men dared venture into its interior. Okay, so there you have it. We have a we have a usage for the word algidity. It's a bit long, and you can also use it, of course, for Alaska and Antarctica. I find it fascinating. All these three really cold places start with the word A. Alaska, Arctic, Antarctic, and of course, algidity. So we have four compatriots in cold, uh, four synonyms, uh, in a sense, because we can even use the word Alaska as a metaphor. You could say the Alaska of existence or the Antarctica of existence, and so forth. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'll conclude with these two words at this point. And in the next YouTube video, we'll discuss a metaphor, or not metaphor, synonym, yeah. A synonym for the word beauty. Okay? So, all right, that's all for today. Bye for now.